Okay, so today we'll try to cover a couple of theoretical components, okay, concepts I would say. And yesterday, I was not able to show you all the Spark submit command, okay. But again, it has something related to memory calculation which will be taken later, so I will explain in one go. So I'll explain all the required parameters which needs to be passed, and we'll see the execution as well, okay. So today we'll try to see two concepts as I discussed. So one of the argument, like in the yarn we provide the client and the cluster mode, so we'll understand that. And if you remember, last Sunday we have only completed 3 CCA 175 questions, okay. So whatever the remaining questions are there, we'll try to complete it today. That's what we'll plan it for today, okay. So I've just removed some diagrams from Google, okay, because it would have a little drawing skills to me draw to this, which I'm not good at. So I've just taken some images, okay, and we'll try to understand the client and cluster mode, okay. So in interviews they'll ask you what is client mode and what is cluster mode, or again, like they can ask you in different scenarios. So first we will try to understand yarn in client mode. So the first thing is like yarn in client mode. So let's understand what does it says to us, okay. So we will say yarn. So yarn is again like yet another resource negotiator. If you remember, like in the Spark architecture we have a cluster manager, okay, and that cluster manager could be yarn, mesos or Kubernetes, okay, depends from what your project is using, okay. So here when you are trying to use your Spark submit command, okay, there you provide either it's like a client mode or cluster mode. So what I'm trying to say is, so we are trying to understand yarn in client mode, okay. So let's understand like what are the steps and what we can do in the client mode, okay. So the first thing is in client mode is, okay, so let's write a small a, okay. So in client mode, okay, driver, in the client mode, driver starts on the edge node, where the driver starts on the edge node, and as soon as the driver, okay, creates a Spark session, we know either a Spark session or a Spark context, a request goes to yarn, means like your cluster manager, right, to create application. That's what we have seen like in the Spark architecture, if you remember, okay. So what we have seen in client mode, driver starts on the edge node, and as soon as the driver creates a Spark session or a Spark context, a request goes to yarn, which is one of your cluster manager, to create application, okay. And in meanwhile it tries to create a DAG and decides like a best possible physical execution plan. So again it has like couple of phases, like solving the unresolved logical plan, optimizing the physical plan. So internally it does everything in DAG by looking at your transformations and actions, and how transformations and actions are spawned. We have seen that in the web UI. So everything gets connected, okay. So the second point what I could say is, okay, yarn resource manager, okay. So yarn resource manager starts an application master, okay. So if you see in this diagram, okay, so when we are trying to write some code, okay, and if you see your Spark shell or your Spark session, okay, let's take Spark session because we are now well accustomed with Spark session and Spark context, but we are going with latest. So if you see Spark session, when a user submits an application in your driver, Spark session is instantiated. It means like your driver program gets instantiated by the Spark context or Spark session. Okay, now it is trying to interact with your resource manager based on the DAG which it analyzed, which had transform and actions that I will need so many resources. Okay, so it went over here, that is the first thing. And the second thing is, it is in the application master. Okay, the containers are assigned. Okay, so this point I did not told purposely in the architecture, because I told till here only, because we have not seen YAN, so that's why I did not explain. Okay, so in the cluster manager, as a YAN resource manager, so like how we have like a data node and name node, similarly we have resource manager and node manager in YAN. Okay, I will explain later. So what resource manager is doing, it is taking a help of application master, which creates the container. What it does, it creates the container. Okay, so let's try to write that point. It's like very easy an explanation, simple, not so complex. So client mode, in the client mode I would say, let's write in client mode. Okay, your application master acts as an executor launcher. Okay, so who acts as an executor launcher in client mode? Your application master. So if you see, this application master is launching your executors. Okay, so that is the third point. Okay, now YAN application master, again what it will do, it will go back to your resource manager. Okay, so this application master, it is spawning your executor, so it will go to your resource manager. Okay, and request for containers, because this is the person who will be having all the resources. So the next point what it comes as is the D point. As I explained you, as I told you a little while earlier, which reflects in the diagram, YAN application master will reach out to YAN resource manager. Okay, for what? For requesting containers. Why containers? Because in each container your executors are launched. That's why. Okay, that is then what your resource manager will do. Okay, resource manager will allocate new containers, and then your application master starts executor in each container. As shown in the diagram, it's pretty straightforward, nothing else. Okay, so what it does, it requests and then it allocates, and it spawns your executors based on the resources or the containers given by your YAN resource manager. Okay, once this initial setup is done, okay, finally, so once this setup is done, okay, executors directly communicate with your driver. If you remember the Spark architecture, okay, we have seen that, okay, once the initialization means once the initial handshake is done with the help of cluster manager, then your executors are directly communicating with your driver, and your driver continuously keeps monitoring which executor is processing what task and how many workload it has. And if it is occupied, it will keep some tasks that will schedule for the future. As soon as some of the executor completes that, it will try to give it. Okay, so whenever, sorry, oh, let me write the F point again. So whenever like we are in the development environment, okay, so let's say as initial setup is done, okay, so your executors directly communicate with your driver. Okay, that's what we have seen. Okay, so what I was saying is I missed that part. Okay, so this is like what happens in your client mode. Okay, so we need to remember the only difference between client mode and cluster mode is, okay, so your driver program is instantiated on your local machine or your edge node. Okay, if you remember the Spark architecture, as I told, it's a master slave architecture. Okay, let's say if I'm writing a code for, let's say, CDC, change data capture. Okay, let's say if I am writing the code for let's say some aggregation. Let's say I'm writing the code for, let's say, type 1. Let's say I'm writing the code for type 2. There are multiple applications which means I'm reading. Ideally in my project, as I told you, like there are 143 files, but all these 143 files goes through 7 jobs. Okay, so that if you multiply 7 into 143, that many jobs gets executed daily in my project. So we are just taking 5 applications. 1, 2, 3, 4 applications to be precise. Okay, so what will happen here, one driver for this application, so we'll say D1, one driver for this application, so I will say D2, okay, and so on, so D3 and D4. So what is happening on your edge node, okay, multiple drivers are getting instantiated. Okay, so when they are trying to means again, like if you see, this driver program will be communicating with its own executor, this driver program will be communicating its own executor. So let's say I'm trying to write E1 to, let's say, E4, or let's say E3, whatever. Let's say similarly from E1 to E4, and same over here. So every driver, it's communicating with its own executors. Okay, and if you remember the architecture, once the executor finishes their task, the data is sent back to the driver or collected at the driver. So there are chances that your wherever this driver node is there in your Hadoop cluster, on some node it will be there, it can be a chance that it will go out of memory and you will get a out of memory issue. Okay, sometimes they will ask you like did you face any out of memory issue and how did you resolve. Okay, again there is a concept of on heap memory and off heap memory. We'll try to see in the Spark memory calculation, but as of now you can say this explanation also. When I was trying to do a development, okay, when I was trying to work, there were multiple teammates who were working on the same account, okay, and in the same module. Okay, so when I was trying to write, so that when the data was getting collected, as we were running in the client mode, sometimes we used to get a out of memory issue. Okay, so the only difference between your client mode and your cluster mode is, okay, what happens in your client mode is, so main thing like is your driver is getting executed on your edge node. Rest we have seen in the architecture how the flows goes. Okay, so in client mode, your Spark session, okay, as soon as it's instantiated, or okay, so your driver program will request to the yarn, okay, that will act as a resource manager. Then it will have a container, then will have an application master which will be responsible for launching the containers on which the workers will process the individual tasks which are assigned by the drivers. So it will go back and it will ask for resources or containers, it will allocate the containers, and ideally your executors will launch. This is how the overall process works when yarn is in client mode. Okay, any questions in yarn in client mode?
Just step number 3 on the diagram. Why does it go back to resource manager?
Why it goes to back to resource manager? Because yarn as a resource manager, okay, so it has two things. Okay, so application master and we have job task tracker. Okay, so application master is responsible for getting the resources and launching the resources. Okay, and which this resource manager will do. So you can take this as an example of your, let's say, team leader. Okay, or you can take this as an example of your manager. So what this manager is doing, it is having one team leader, and this team leader is handling the resources. So this is how the hierarchy will go. So your resource manager will not be responsible to take care of your launching of your containers or assigning the works. Ideally the assigning works goes from year to year, but application master is the person, okay, I need some resources, please give me some resources. Okay, so once like let's take an example of, let's say, HDFC. Okay, there are two accounts which are going on. One is cards and one is, let's say, mortgage. Okay, two products wherein like the application coding is going on, and let's say there are 5 resources working. Okay, and let's say we do not have much of load in cards, but we have a lot of load on mortgage. So what a team leader what he will do is he'll try to allocate the resources from this. If they are like capable, definitely they should be capable, because again, like they will be handling the Spark work or the development work, and again there are teammates to tell them what needs to be done. So what I can do is I can remove some resources from there, and I can allocate. Same thing is being done over here. So application master is responsible for launching the containers. That resource manager will not do. So resource manager will only assign the resources, and whenever the person is responsible who will be launching the containers, he requests, he will give that resources and do whatever you want to do. That's why this person does not get in launching your executors. It is only for assigning the resources. Maybe you can take that as an HR as well. Okay.
So in terms like the resource manager knows which resources are available?
Which resources are available, that ideally containers will be this person
Yeah,
will,
yeah. In Yam, the resource manager knows how much resource has been allocated, because when we go for the capacity scheduler in the Yam, and it is having nothing but the queues allocated for the resources.
okay.
Okay, thanks.
Any questions apart from that?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. So this is like your client mode. Okay, and the difference between the client mode and cluster mode is, in client mode, as I told you, your Spark session will be getting instantiated on your edge node. When it comes to cluster mode, it will be available over here. Okay, that's where like your second diagram will come into picture. If you see in this diagram, okay, so this is like when a Spark submit. As of now, I have not explained you the Spark submit, we'll see later. Okay, so here we are having a Spark driver. Okay, and let's understand like how the yarn in client mode behaves. Okay, let's try to understand that. So we'll go for yarn. Okay, and we'll try to understand yarn in cluster mode. Let's understand like how the small steps will go. Okay, so in cluster mode, So in cluster mode, okay, Spark submit utility again, like in even in client mode there is a Spark submit utility which is sent. Okay, so it's not that I'm writing it over here, it's not available in your client mode, it's there also. So a Spark submit utility, okay, will send application master request to the yarn resource manager. Okay, so again, like it's like it is going to the resource manager asking for some resources, nothing else. Okay, so what it will do, it will again, like whenever you submit an application, okay, now your driver program is there, but your driver program also needs to have some resources, right? Because it needs to get spawned on some worker node, and worker node is available on some in some containers, and the containers are handled by yarn application master. Hence, via resource manager the request goes to application master. That is what I am trying to say over here. Okay, so the yarn resource manager sorry, so the yarn resource manager, okay, acts the yarn resource manager starts an application master, okay, similarly like how we were doing in the client mode, and then the driver, now this is the difference, okay, and then the driver starts in the application master. Okay, that's where the difference comes between your client mode and cluster mode. Okay, what was happening in like client mode, okay, so it was getting instantiated, okay, either with a Spark context or Spark session on your edge node. But here with this help of Spark submit utility, okay, the request goes to the cluster manager, and internally it goes to the application master wherein like your driver is spawned, okay, and then the same process goes which we have written or which we have taken a little while earlier. Okay, so in client mode, yarn application master acts as an executor launcher. We have just seen recently, right? So who acts an executor launcher? The yarn application master. Okay, where either on your edge node, okay, or on your local machine, right? That's what we have seen. But in cluster mode, okay, okay, the yarn application master starts the driver, okay, and you don't have, so, and in cluster mode you don't have any dependency on your local machine or your edge node, you can say. That's where your second difference comes. Okay, once started, so let's write D point. Okay, once started, the driver, now it's not the application master, okay, the differences are coming over here. So driver will reach out to resource manager with a request for containers. In your earlier scenario, your yarn application master was going to your resource manager for requesting the containers. Okay, similarly the resource manager will allocate new containers, okay, and the driver starts executor in each container. Okay, and like as I said earlier, after all the initial setup of requesting to your cluster manager, taking the resources, taking the containers, after initial setup is done, okay, then executors directly communicate with the driver. Okay, now the catch, not I would say the catch is, okay, if you remember like the Hadoop, or like it's a cluster, okay, so there will be multiple nodes. If you take the earlier scenario, like here there were multiple driver programs who were getting spawned in a single node. Okay, if you take the same example, now what will happen, let's consider this one box. Let's say as of now, let's say so let's say this is one driver, sorry, let's say this is one node. Okay, let's say this is another node, let's say this is another node, and let's say this is another node. So now if you just take with the help of all four applications, okay, now what will happen, it can be a scenario, okay, it can be a scenario that one of the driver program is get spawned over here. Okay, now see, now it is like one node. Okay, consider this is one node, separately. Okay, it can happen that one of your driver is spawned over here, it is spawned over here, and it is spawned over here, which means that now your resources are parallelly distributed. So even if like your executors are finishing the task and returning the data to the driver program, there are less chances of getting your out of memory issue. And that's where in the production systems or in the projects, whenever we deploy the code or whenever we move the code from dev environment to QA or beta testing, once that is done and the final approval is get, and when we move the code to the production, we always go in the cluster mode. Okay, we do not go in the client mode. So that is the only difference between client mode and cluster mode, which you will have to understand and remember with the perspective of interviews. And whenever you go into a working project scenario, there also you will have to align to that. Okay, any questions in this? I hope like it's like same like earlier only. The only thing is like your drivers are getting spawned into multiple nodes in your cluster, not on the edge node. That's the only advantage which we are getting in cluster mode. So even if like there are multiple applications of different accounts or different projects, they should be able to run gracefully. But in this scenario, if there are like multiple applications at some moment of time or multiple moment of times, you will always face this issue at the development environment, and we do that. We get that. Any questions?
There is someone that they can continue.
Yeah, you can continue.
Say for one question, regarding to this resource manager, it can be either Kubernetes or Yarn, right?
Agreed. It can be your Yarn, as you said. It can be Kubernetes, it can be Mesos, and so on. But mostly you will see like 80 to 90% you will find Yarn. Nowadays, slowly they have started using Kubernetes.
Yeah. In that case, right, for Yarn, the node, right, the driver nodes will be physically started, right?
Agreed.
But in Kubernetes, it will spin up in the runtime.
I'm unsure of that. Is it Krishna?
No, Sandeep.
Sandeep, I'm really sorry because I have never got an opportunity for now to push my clusters or whatever the stuff are there to on the Kubernetes. So I may take that question and maybe I'll remove the answer, but I don't want to give a wrong comment.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, physically these nodes will be there, right?
Definitely, because there will be a cluster which will be installed at remote places, like at some place, and we will be accessing it.
Okay.
Sir, can you explain again this node and driver stuff? What you have explained right now?
Node and driver, which means like this node.
Yes, 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 yes.
So see,
Yeah.
when you are trying, if you remember like the Hadoop 1.x and 2.x architecture, okay, you have like one name node and you have like multiple data nodes, right? So here, if you see like these are nodes. Nodes is nothing but a machine, right? And your group of nodes is nothing but your one cluster, correct? So what happens like in your real-time projects, okay, like we have a cluster of, let's say, 64 nodes of machine, or let's say 123 nodes of machine, based on the project size and the client which which they are into, okay. So if you speak about our project, which is like a South African client, okay, so we have like a 28 nodes cluster. So in those 28 nodes cluster, so this is like an entire cluster. In that, this is one node which is nothing but, let's take an example of one laptop which will be having certain CPU power, which will having some memory power, some storage, and so on. So that's how like all your machines will be there. So like we are using like 28 machines. In those 28 machines, physically at some South African location where the data centers will be residing, what Hadoop admin people might have done, they have installed the Hadoop cluster, which means that in some of your node, your name node, secondary name node will be there, and the rest will be your data nodes. So when you are trying to execute all your applications, okay, they are going over there and they are executing and spawning whatever is required. So that's where I'm trying to say nodes over here. Nodes is nothing but a single machine. In that machine, you might be having your driver program or executors and so on. Got it?
So it will be always be one driver will be allocated to that sub node, or it will be multiple. Just like you explained in that client mode, that in one node.
See, for one application, whatever the code which we write, if you remember yesterday, we have written one code to read the medical data CSV file, transform the data and write the data. That is one application code. So for one application code, there will be one driver program. So in similar cases, if there are multiple codes which you are writing, multiple driver will be instantiated. So always there will be one driver program to handle your work which needs to get done in the code which it is written. And there can be multiple executors.
So, sorry. So these concepts are related to Hadoop overall cluster, right?
Yes,
So-
yes. Hadoop cluster and the admin related activities which we should not get involved into.
Yep, yep. From architecture perspective, it's the same. Like
Right, architecture perspective, same. Only we need to understand, yes, okay. So the driver program is like whenever like we are trying to do a Spark submit, one driver program will be spawned and that will be going into one of your worker node, okay. And that driver program will negotiate with your cluster manager for resources, okay. Once the resources are assigned, the executors will be launched on multiple worker nodes. That's what we need to know. And what is this worker nodes and this driver program? Where are they? They are in some of your Hadoop clusters. And what is Hadoop cluster? Hadoop cluster is nothing but a group of machine. So that's how like hierarchy will grow. Right?
yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Safe. One more question.
Yes, sir, Sandeep.
It may be not.
No issues, Sandeep.
I'm not sure. So basically, right, most of the project will be in the cloud, right? So
Okay.
the project which I worked earlier was in AWS. Okay. So we store the files in S3, which is object data, right?
Right.
And as part when you store the files in the HDFS, it will be in the file format.
Okay.
Basically, when you do a Spark operation on object data, right? This object data internally they will copy to the EMR cluster, or Spark can somehow do some of the operations on top of this S3.
Okay.
How it will work? Like whether internally these files will copy to the Spark cluster,
No, no,
EMR
no.
cluster.
Yes, if you are speaking in terms of like AWS, we have EMRFS, which is nothing but your Elastic MapReduce file system.
Okay.
See, if you remember, like maybe like early days when we started with Spark, with the Spark introduction, and then I was trying to explain the partitions and the executors. Now, if you
Yeah.
take here same example of yours, let's say, okay, so there is like 1 GB file, or let's say 1 GB file, let's say 1 TB file. So 1 TB file, it will have like 128 MB blocks, right, in Hadoop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's take an example. 10 blocks are there. So what Spark will do is Spark will go. Let's say we are trying to read the data from HDFS. Spark will go to the HDFS. Okay, it will try to read the data with like read data frame dot reader method, right? Once it reads the data, okay, how many number of partitions are there? Based on that, it tries to bring the data into memory,
Okay.
and from there the data gets processing. It's not like every time it's like a disk IO. It's like in-memory processing, right?
Okay. So even if I store the file in the S3, if
S3,
I try start
yes,
performing some actions, then the file will first copy to the
right,
cluster.
right. Because it is going to some location. It could be a database. It could be like any RDS, like in your AWS services. It could be like your file system, like S3. If you are in Azure, it could be Blob, or if you are in like Hadoop, it could be HDFS. So it will be going there, it will be reading the data and bring it to its own memory, logical memory. So
Okay.
then all the computations will get executed, and all this internally, whatever the architecture which I am trying to show, will work on that, and finally it will do.
Yeah, got it. So
Yes.
technically speaking, internally, one more step Spark will automatically do. Like the data will be copied to the EMR cluster.
Yes, in EMR file system, there is a different stuff.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Yes, Sandeep.
Um, Hey Praditya,
Yeah.
can we little bit elaborate about the logical memory which is being allocated? Because suppose this is my commodity laptop and machine where 8 GB memory is right now available. So in a cluster, how much percentage of the memory get reserved for from the each nodes we can
I
say?
got your question. So that's where we will be. Uh, I will have to ask you to park your question. That's where like we will be seeing like how to calculate your memory calculation. So how your executor memory are calculated. So that we would be seeing a later part. So
Okay.
we will come to know. Let's say you are working on one banking uh, module, okay. In that, like the let's say there are three different modules, okay. One module Saif is working, other module Ajit is working, and in the other module Hussein is working. Let's say Ajit module is, let's say, related to loans, which is a little critical application, okay. And Saif's and Hussein's, they are like working on, let's say, customer and let's say branch, which are a little not critical application. So based on the critical applications also, the resources are aligned more and less. So based on the resources, okay, we will be doing our memory calculation, and based on that our applications would be getting executed quickly or not quickly. It it is dependent on everything.
Okay.
Okay.
And might be more question might be I'm repeating. Just wanted to know the inside of the containers. Actually, it has. Can you just repeat that point? Containers.
Which container?
Like RM allocate the new containers and drivers, right?
Right.
The container is talking about.
Executors.
Okay. The
And
container actually, what is inside the containers?
containers is, it does not have anything. See, this is application of container. Sorry, containers will contain your executors. That is nothing but your executor memory calculation, which we'll be doing, right?
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
So we have to see this concept a little ahead, because as of now it's too early to see that calculation. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. So Spark, Yarn in client mode and Yarn in cluster mode. Okay, so we need to have a pretty good significance and good understanding, because this will be frequently asked in interviews. And when you are trying to write a Spark submit, okay, it's just like you need to, if you remember, like I'm trying to write master local, there it gets replaced with Yarn as a client or Yarn as a cluster. Okay, we'll try to see at later stage. As of now it's too early to see. Any questions till here? Right.
So what is that? Because it's a cluster mode, and you have we see only the client mode. So is there any these modes are also there available? Just I want to know.
Like a batch mode and the streaming mode, and the third one, what you
Yes,
said?
yes. Interactive mode.
Interactive mode. No, see, these, like if you see here, so this is like I'm trying to say SC, I'm trying to say Spark. This is what like interactive mode says this.
Okay.
When you talk about batch mode, okay, like in my current project, okay, as I told, like I'm working on a banking South African client, which is APSA, African Barclays of Digital Account. Okay, so there, like we receive like 143 files daily. So they run every day, Monday to Saturday, and we have a holiday on Sunday. Okay, so every day the batches are running. So that is called batch job.
Oh, okay.
When it comes to streaming, okay, so my friend who is working on Kafka stream, means Kafka and stream sets in the same account, okay, they are working
Okay.
on the module, like they are working for the credit card fraud detection, then whatever the transactions which are happening, like real-time updates. Okay, so in the same account we are working on different modules and different requirement. So there they are working on streaming concept, where they are using Kafka and stream sets. So if you see, everything is in Spark cluster, everything is in Hadoop cluster, but it depends on the application, it depends on the requirement, and that's how your batch mode, interactive mode, and your streaming mode are identified.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I hope like no questions. If no, everyone is okay with it, let's start. Okay, now what is this fourth scenario? Okay, so this fourth scenario, it is telling you are provided with sales.txt. Someone is not on mute, please be on mute. So what fourth scenario is saying is you are provided with sales.txt at some location. Okay, so let's quickly go to change directory to /home save lfs cca175. Okay, so they are trying to say, okay, at this location we should have sales.txt. okay, so I do not have sales.txt, so let me come out of it. ls sales.txt. Wow, I don't have this. Okay, so what I will try to do is, let me go to data sets, change home, home save lfs data sets. Okay, so ll and sales.txt, I should have this file. Okay, so we'll try to move this file. Okay, so sales.txt we'll try to move at certain location which we want, that is nothing but home save lfs cca175. okay, and let's go back, So we are at LFS and we'll just change to CC175. Okay, so we are at that location, and now if we try to do sales.txt, we got that file over here. Okay, cool. Now what they are asking is find the employee count. Okay, we need to find out the employee count. Okay, and cost to company for each group consisting of department, cadre and state. If you remember, like when we were trying to solve the movie lens case, we solved this using RDD, if you remember. Okay, now we'll try to solve the same thing with data frame. Okay, and also what they are asking is compress the output using gzip compression. Okay, and so we need to compress the data while writing. The default compression is snappy, so we need to use gzip compression, and write the data of cost to company greater than 50,000. Okay, that's okay, and to this location. Okay, so we understood the scenario. Let's start building the code for it. Okay, so let's maximize the size. Okay, so I'm going with scenario 4. Okay, so the first thing what you will do is you will try to read the file. Either you can read the file from your edge node or from your HDFS location. Okay, so let's try to write small code. So sales data frame I am trying to create, spark.read.format. What is the format? The format is nothing but my CSV. Okay, then let's check whether does it has header, all those stuff. Head hyphen n. Sorry, let's see for the first 5 record. So it has header also. We'll try to use the header and we'll try to infer the schema. Okay, let's do that. So option, then we have key, and then we have value, right? So let's do copy paste for this so that, okay, so what we will write, header as true, then we will try to infer the schema, even that we will try to write true. Okay, and finally what we will try to do is we'll try to load the data, and the data is like at a location, so that is nothing but file : home save LFS CCA175, and the file name is nothing but sales.txt. Okay, let's quickly copy this. Let me minimize. I hope like the font is visible. So let's do Control-C and let's come to the terminal. Not this, so we need to go to the PySpark terminal. Let's execute this. Okay, so I'm trying to read the file. Okay, quickly let's try to verify the data. Okay, we are able to see the data. Okay, now we'll try to do some calculation. Okay, so what they are asking is, remember they are asking like group of department, cadre and state. Okay, so these are the columns which we will be required. Okay, and we will try to play with those things. Okay, so what I'll try to do is first what I am trying to do is I'm trying to say, let's say if I import the core department and state, let me see the data, core department and state. Okay, so that is what it will give me. It will give me nothing. Okay, looks good. So now what we will do is, based on this 3 columns, okay, we need to create a group. Okay, and we need to find the employee count and cost to company, same like how we did there. Okay, so grouping and aggregation of sum and count, that we'll do, and while writing TK compression. Got it. So let's try to do some aggregation. Okay, so what I will try to do, so let's say sales group data, any variable name which you can give. So I am using my sales data frame, right? I will apply a group by clause. Okay, in this group by clause, the 3 columns which they have asked us is, which is nothing but department, cadre and state. Okay, so I'll use this department, cadre and state in my group by clauses. Okay, so I'll try to write call keyword. Okay, so the first is DEPT, then the second column is nothing but my cadre, right? The third column is nothing but my state, right? So these three columns grouping is done. I'm trying to use call. If I execute this, it will throw me an error. Okay. For that, I need to from PySpark.sql.functions, I need to import what? I need to import call. Okay, before executing that. Okay. So the grouping is done. So I have done one thing, right? After that, what I need to do is, so I'll try to apply a dot aggregation. What I'll try to do, I'll try to apply a aggregation. So first thing is what they have asked, employee count. So I'll try to use count. Okay, I think I'll have to import count as well. So on which column I need to find the count? The column name is nothing but my DPT, right? And let's alias this because they are asking us to name something. Okay, so if you are planning to appear, so in the certification, if they are asking for some column name, be precise with that column name. Okay, so I'm trying to say what they have said is employee count. Okay, so let's say I'm trying to say employee count, right? That is the first thing which I have done. Second thing what I'll try to do is, okay, so I'll try to find out the sum. So let's say sum. Okay, so I need to do sum on which column? So the column is nothing but this, cost to company. Okay, so I'm just trying to do copy paste. Okay, sum of column of this, and let's alias this as, did they ask us anything? Department, nothing. So what I can do is I can just name the same. They have not asked us anything, right? So will not do anything. Okay, so I have done. And finally, if it is required to do ordering, so let's say I'll try to means like order by, and the call is, let's say, employee count. Let's execute this small piece. Before that, I'll need sum as well, and I need aggregate as well. Where is the comma?
Here the last line. Double quotes.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Irfan, and someone was there. Okay, let's import this. Okay, so it is telling, okay, aggregate is not available. Okay, so I've imported the required things which was needed, and let's execute this small piece. Okay, and let's quickly check sales group data, how it is looking us. Okay, cool. So we are able to get a group of these three people, and we are able to get the sum, and we are able to get the cost to company. Was that the requirement? Let's go. Yeah. So, but no, but we need to filter the data, right? They have asked like greater than 50,000. Okay, so let's do that. So we need to apply a filter clause. You can apply a filter clause directly over here, or you can create one more like variable. It's your call. Okay, so let's say filter data frame I'm trying to create equals to, I'm trying to use my sales group data. Okay, and I'll just have to apply a filter. Okay, and the column is nothing but my, I'll quickly do copy from here and paste over here. Okay, and simply it should be greater than 50,000, right? That's what they have asked us. Let's execute that. Looks good. And finally what they have done is we need to save this location. So let me copy this location, control copy. Okay, and finally they are asking while writing the data, please zip it. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I'm trying to write this to a particular location. Okay, so how we write, whatever the data frame name is, right? Then we try to use a write mode. Okay, then the mode, if you want to specify append, override, it's your call. So we'll go with override. Okay, then the format, as of now they have not asked, so I'll go with CSV, right? If they would have asked like Parquet, Avro, we would have gone for that, maybe JSON, XML. Okay, as of now they are not asking us to do that. Then they have asked us to compress the data, so I just need to use one option. In that I need to provide key and I need to provide a value. So what is the compression they have asked us to do? they have asked us to do a gzip compression. So this is the only addition which you have to do. And finally I need to save the data. Where I need to save the data? So the location is nothing but hdfs colon localhost. Okay, the port is 9000 and we need to save at this, right? Control X, let me remove this, and it should come over here. Okay, so the location is there, and finally we will say, let's say this is scenario 4, a directory would be created. That's what it is doing. Let's execute this piece and let's clear off the screen and let's execute. Yeah, it's working fine. Okay, finally the data is written. If you want to validate the data quickly, what we can do is we can just go over here and hdfs dfs-ls and the entire path. We should be able to see some part files which are getting generated in a gzip compression. Okay, so that's how like your fourth scenario is done. Any questions in this? Yes, no? Are we able to understand?
Sir, Irfan here.
Yes, Irfan.
So how many types of compression is there? One example is gzip, right?
Gzip we have snappy,
Okay.
we have the default is I guess deflate. Okay, then we have bzip2. Okay, so these are like 4 to 5 which I remember.
So with the help of the cat command, can you read that gzip file?
You will not be able to read like with the cat command. Okay, so here I think we have one command, right? Do we remember that command? Yes, that is a text command. So let's say part asterisk whatever the entire data, and let's try to see only first 5 records. Okay, if you just try to go and if you try to do cat, sorry, we should be able to get some binary kind of data. Okay.
Yes. So text is used for a compression file, right?
Yes, it's not used for all the compression, but for few compression it works.
Okay, so for example, gzip and?
I think for snappy it does not work because snappy and like for binary file formats it does not work. That's what I assume, because for snap you will not be able to. For that what we do is, that's why we have like Spark. Okay, what we do is we take this data, okay, and we go like we write spark.read.format and like we try to give the .csv and we try to read the data. If it is in Parquet, if it is Avro, if it is in XML, if it is in JSON, we'll read. So which I am able to read for gzip, and there are a couple of things which are supported by text, not many. Even sequence file is not supported. Then we have Avro data file, even that is not supported. So only a couple of things are supported. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so let's make a move. So that was the fourth scenario for us. Okay, so let's go for the fifth scenario. Okay, so in the fifth scenario, what they are asking us is, okay, so this is the
There was one question in mind.
yes, Sandeep.
Ajit here.
Yes, Sandeep.
So, sorry, Ajit.
Pradeep.
Ajit.
Okay.
My question is like there is a. I had a few days back interview and they asked about the Jeep type, the compression types. So, in which situation we should decide like snappy default compression or other way of the compression, and what is the like percentage of compression?
Okay, so again, like we need to define, we need to understand like what we are using. Like, are we using Spark? Are we using Hive? Which platform we are trying to use? Okay, so if you are going with the Spark, mostly it is recommended to use a Parquet format. Okay, because it has a very good compression, that is internal default, which has a snappy. Okay, so with every file system, the compression is different. Okay, and when you try to compress, it will give you a different result. Okay, so that's where like you need to do a trial and error, and you will need to identify which file format is good and which will give you a serialization and deserialization better when we are trying to read the data from Spark. So that's why if you see in most of the projects, either you will find Parquet or Avro format, because in Parquet your schema is internally built, it means saved. So it does not have to go again and read the data and again go and infer the schema. So that's where like your compression capabilities comes into picture, which will shrink the data size and it will again help you in storage and reading possibilities also. So every file format has its own taste. You need to decide like, is it suiting for this requirement or not. If you talk about like, okay, in case of Spark, in case of Hive, what will be the best possible format? So it should be Parquet and ORC. That is what the first preference is given. But if your schema is changing dynamically, we go for Avro. And then the rest are like JSON and the XML, that is like case to case dependent. That's how it goes, Ajit.
Now, sorry, I was little bit interested towards the zip type, the compression type. The format is, yes, you have explained very nice. So the zip, like here, gzip you said there is snappy, and I think there is another mode. So that one, how means when we have to use that one? Asking.
When we have to use, so as a developer we will have to take a call, right? Because what will be the best? So see, the client is, if the client is sending you a .gzip file, what you will do? Will you be able to do anything?
No, my
I'll
sorry,
stop the recording. Okay, so we completed the fourth one. Let's go to the fifth one. Okay, so this is the fifth scenario. Okay, in this what they are asking us to do is, okay, so they have given couple of lists to us, right? Based on the list we need to remove the count, and if you see, I think we'll have to join the two list also, which I feel so. Okay, and then whichever elements within the list is having the same count based on the joining condition, we'll have to concatenate the data. That is what I'm reflecting in the output. Okay, if you see like let's take an example of, let's say, 6 characters, 1 2 3. Yeah, we can take an example of Mithali. So this word has 6 characters, and in here, like let's say Mithali and Salman, if you see, so when Mithali is trying to, let's say 6, and if it is trying to join and it is trying to identify, so that's what I am able to identify, and that's what we need to achieve. Okay, so let's start building the code for this, and let's see how we can go. Okay, so let's try to implement the scenario fifth. Okay, so let me copy this list as is, Control C, and let's do Control V. Okay, so what we can say is, let's say this is like my data 1, and let's say data 2. Okay, so this is my data 1 and data 2. Let's create the schema. If you remember, like we created like a schema. So let's say this is S1 equals to, and let's try to give as it's like string. So let's simply give string type. I can use like S1 in both the data while creating Spark data frame. Let's keep it separately, but again, like I can use the same also, right? And for this I will have to import one package, right? So that package is from PySpark .sql.types. okay, dot types will have to import. Okay, what we'll have to import? We'll have to import string type. Okay, so these are the 5 lines which I just written. Let's test those things. Okay, hopefully all those things are aligned nicely. Okay, cool. Then what we'll have to do is we'll have to create the data frame out of it, right? So let's create quick data frame. So this is my first data frame. So spark dot create data frame. Okay, it is asking me 2 things, right? So what I'll try to provide, the first thing is nothing but my data 1, and the second is nothing but S1. Let's copy this, Control C, Control V. Okay, so I'll just change this name df1 to df2. Okay, this should be my data 2, and this should be my S2. I could have used my S1 also because it is having like same again how you write, how you use. Okay, let's. Okay, so what it is telling that Spark sesh object has no attribute create. Okay, there's a typo error. So let's change. Let's add that. Okay, so let's copy this, clear off the screen, and this will also give the error, and let's execute this. Okay, let's quickly verify df1.show good and df2.show. Okay, so we are able to see the column name is value and the respective list data we are able to assign to a data frame, and that column name is value. Looks good to me. Okay, now what we'll have to do is, what is the output? Okay, so we'll try to apply a group by and we'll try to remove the count and then we'll try to join. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so let's go over here. Okay, so what I'll try to do, I'll try to apply a group by. Just give me one more. Okay, so what we have done is we have taken the data, okay, and we have created the data frame, right? So we were in the, okay, so we were trying to do some grouping. Okay, let's do some grouping. Okay, okay, so let's say len of let's give like, let's say len1, or let's say len data frame 1 equals to, and the first data frame was df1. I'll try to apply a group by. Okay, so the column name was value, right? So the grouping will be done on that. Okay, so value aa jayega. So let's see, like, okay, so based on that, okay, so we'll try to do some aggregation. Okay, so we'll try to do aggregate. Okay, and we'll try to say length, that is length, and length of value. Okay, so I'll try to get that length, and I think that's it. So let's try to see whether this is working or not, and I'll just try to alias this as count. Let's copy this, and I'll have to import some packages, right? So from pyspark.sql.functions, okay, what we'll try to do is we'll import length, and let's up arrow, and hopefully let's see the len df1 and dot show. Okay, so we are able to get this. Only this thing I missed, so let's add this line into this so that you will have it. Okay, so similarly what we will try to do is we'll try to do this for the second data frame as well. Okay, so this is the second data frame. We are grouping on the same column because it's same as this. Okay, and let's do the same thing. Hopefully let's execute this as well, and if you just want to show that, we can just do lndf.show. Okay, so we are able to get this. Now what we will try to do is, based on this count column, we'll try to write a joining condition. Okay, that's what we will do. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we'll try to apply a join. Okay, and again, like, it's your call, like what kind of join we apply. Either we can apply a outer join or we can apply a inner join. Okay, both will give us the same result, but again, if we are trying to do outer join, we'll have to filter the data. Let's go with outer because that will give you a little one more horizon of like looking at the data and like again what we can do with the data. Okay, so let's say join data frame. So let's say join data frame I'm trying to create. Okay, we all know the syntaxes now. So the first data frame name is nothing but len df1, right? So we'll try to alias this. Okay, because the count column name is same. Hopefully that if we want to access the name, so it should be like accessible. Okay, so I'll try to alias this, and I will say, let's say df1. Any name you can give, it's your call, so you can give. Okay, so what I have done, I've aliased this to data frame 1. Then I'll try to write my join condition. So what is my second data frame name is len df2, right? Len of df2 which we created. And let's try to alias this as well. So what I'll try to say, let's say this is my df2. Okay, so what we have done, we have joined the two data frames. Cool. Now what is the joining condition? Okay, so the joining condition is, remember, last time we have written data frame dot column name. So what you can do is, I'll just show another approach here. So what we can do directly, we can write column. In this column you can use your alias. Remember, we were not able to use last time, so either you can do like this, or you can use you can erase this and you can simply write data frame 1.coin. It's your call. Okay, so let's do Control C for this. Okay, equals to, so this will be df2, and I think this should not give an error, but let's be clear on that. Okay, so this is, and finally what type of join I'm trying to apply. Let's say I'm trying to apply outer, so let's copy this and let's execute this. Okay, we did not get error because we have already imported the call. It is during the session and we are already in this session. Okay, so that's why if you're working on the C775 exam, okay, if once you import, until unless you don't quit, you don't need to re-import again and again, and all your code works fine. Or else what you can do is you can import everything as star, so no need to get a headache of that as well. Okay, depends like how you plan yourself to write the code. Okay, I'm able to get the data. Let's quickly see which I was join data frame dot show, right? That is the data frame name, right? Yeah. Okay, so now if you see, I'm getting some nulls over here. Okay, and if I would have done, like, let's say in place of this, if I would have done inner, and let's try to say, this is join df1, and let's say join df1 dot show. Okay, I wouldn't have got that null records. Like, it's how you write the logic. Again, it depends. So in this case, I'll have to filter this records, like df2 dot count. Okay, I'll have to filter the not null value, sorry. And if you are going with this, you don't need to do that. You can directly go with your output. Okay, as we are going with this, if I go with this directly, I'll start writing this, but as I have taken this first step, so let's filter this null records. Okay, let's come over here. So filter null data frame equals to my join data frame. Okay, then I'll try to select. So let's select. Okay, so the column names. Okay, so let's try to select few column names. Okay, so here I will say data frame 1 dot count. Okay, so that is what I want. Then let's see the output, what it is asking me. It is asking me count and concatenate. So this is value, right? Yeah, so we will need df1 value and df2 dot value. So let's say data frame 1 dot value, and finally we need df2 dot value. Okay, and let's copy this. Oh, sorry, we have not filtered the data. Okay, so let's filter it. So let's write dot filter. Okay, and let's write on the df2, right? It was df2. Okay, so let's say df2 dot, okay, either you can take value or count. It should be like equivalent. So let's say I'm trying to say it's not null. Okay, let's do Control C, and this is Control V. So this output and hopefully this output of my join df1 should be equivalent. So filter null data frame dot show. There is a typo error, so let's go for filter data frame. Okay, so it's just like with that, like you could have skipped one step. Okay, but again, like it's okay. That's it. Just like I'm trying to explain, that's why I'm consuming time. But when you're trying to write the code with your own, like if you know the syntaxes, it happens very quickly in more than not less than 1 minute. Okay, now we have filtered the data, and simply now what we need to do is we need to concatenate the data, nothing else. Okay, final thing is that we need to do. So let's say conc data frame equals to, okay, so my filter null data frame, and I'll try to use with column. We all know this. Okay, so the new column which we need to generate is nothing but conc, right? And we will try to write certain things. Let's see what we can do over here. Okay, so we'll have to use df1 and df2. Okay, and we'll have to conc. Okay, so I'll have to use concat. Okay, so in this concat, So I'll have to use call. So we have like df1 dot value, that is the thing. Okay, and I'll have to apply a literal, and that literal is comma. Okay, and after that again I'll have to write my call, then I'll have to write my df2 dot value. Okay, where they are asking for some conc, so I've already given that, right? Okay, so I think that looks good to me. And finally I will just try to select only the required columns. Okay, I don't want to take all the columns, so the columns which I need is, so this conc will come, that is second, and finally we need one column, right? So I think that was count. Let's see where we are getting. Yeah, we have like count, so we'll take this. So let's come over here and we'll try to write. So I'll try to write CNT, that is nothing but my count column, and secondly the width column which we have used, and we have derived the conc. Okay, let's copy this piece and let's execute. So concat is not defined, so from PySpark dot SQL dot functions, let's import concat. Okay, and so let's clear off this and paste this again. Lit is not defined. Okay, so let's import the lit also, and let's paste this again. Okay, now let's say conc df dot show, and hopefully we should be able to get a result. Okay, so it looks good to me. Any questions in this? Yes, no? Are we good?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we are done with fifth. Okay, let's progress with sixth one. Okay, let's understand what the sixth scenario says. All the prod data txt records are stored at home LFS. Let's go quickly over here, prd underscore data. So ls prd underscore, do we had something we don't have, right? So let's go to, we are under C775, right? So let's go one back and go to data sets. ls prod data. So ls prod underscore data. Don't have this file. No such file. Okay, so let's go back to C775 ll. Let's go to input. Then ls prod underscore data.txt. Okay, I have this, right? So I'll just make use of this file. Okay, so copy this file, which is nothing but prod prd, I think I cp this file. Okay, and they are asking to my one step okay, so let's go home, save lfs and cc175, right? Then let me come back to cc175 and let me do prod underscore data. Okay, so I have this file. Okay, so we have this file. Okay, so now what they are asking us is output should only contain the products with prices less than 1000. Okay, so we need to filter the data, and the data where product name. Okay, let me see the data, what it is. Header 5 prd data. Okay, so it does not has a header. Okay, that is one thing. Then if you see, there is no schema to it. Okay, so maybe like we can define our own schema, but what it is selling price. Okay, I'll do that. And the data where product name. Okay, I think like the product name, so this could be the product name. Okay, ideally you will get the schema, but here you are not getting the schema. Okay, so ideally you will get the schema, because I remember one scenario. So I'm assuming that your product, let's see, we'll figure it out. That's what I'm assuming as of now. Then what they are asking is vector series. Okay, use avro format. Okay, see, now they are asking us to save in a different file format and compress the output using deflate. Okay, so if you remember earlier, we have used like last week, like we have seen snappy, today we have seen gzip, and like today again, like in this they are asking us to have a deflate one. Okay, so we'll try to make use of this. Okay, so let's see, there are some group messages. Is there anything like in group V7 group? Obed, okay, ठीक है. So let's start solving this scenario, which is the sixth scenario. Let's see how we can go with this scenario. Okay, so let's copy this and paste this. Where is my cursor? Okay, so let's bring home to the cursor and paste this. Okay, let's understand. ठीक है. So let's start writing my scenario 6 solution. Okay, so we need to read this file first of all. So let's start reading this file. Okay, so that is nothing but my which is the file prods data, right? So let's say prod data frame equals to spark.read.format. Okay, and the format is nothing but, for now it is me, CSV. Okay, and we do not have anything right as a header, so I'll just quickly do my inferring the schema. And when you just through, okay, see, now if you see, when I'm trying to do something, it is giving me auto population. Okay, so in you will get one editor that is like Sublime editor or Atom editor. If you use that, it will be very good, because once you start writing all your data frames, whatever which you have written, they will prompt you, so you can write your code a little quicker. Okay, and finally we'll try to load the data. Okay, and where we'll try to load the data from file : /home. Okay, so this is safe. In place of this, we have like prod underscore data.txt. Now what I'll try to do over here is, okay, I'll try to copy this and I'll come over here and I'll paste this data over here. Okay, and I'll try to figure it out. So during the creation, I'm creating a data frame. Let's first I'll show like what I'm trying to do. You'll get it. Let's clear off the screen. PRD, the column name will be not there, underscore C0 underscore C1, it will be like this. If you remember, I have shown this. So now what we will do is, during the reading execution only, what I'll try to do is, I'll try to read that, or maybe give them as a data frame. Okay, so I'll try to do 2df. Okay, and here I'll try to give some column names. Okay, so as the data is related to product, so by looking at some data, I'll try to give him some names, so that I can use in the code, but you will get the schema. Okay, here somehow I missed the schema, but maybe like I'll try to add next time. So the first column which I'll try to give is, let's say, product ID, which looks like that. Okay, then the second column is, I'm not sure, but what it is that. Okay, so what I'll do is, let's say product ID 1 I'll try to give. Okay, so hopefully this should be somewhere related to some, if like they are trying to provide multiple data sets, so there should be some relation. Okay, so I'm just trying to give as of now as ID1, because I do not have a schema for it. Okay, but you will have the schema, don't worry. Okay, then the third thing is, let's take this, I think we can take this first, second, and this I can take as a product name which they are asking us, and let's see if that is not equivalent, we'll try to change. Okay, let's test it. So I'm getting my product name, and after that, so this is my product name till here. Okay, then I'm having my product name, product ID, product name, then we are having, so this is, so is it like included in the data, because I have your product price over here. And finally we have, let me quickly view the data again. So this is product ID, so this is like some name 1, 2, and from here till I have one more thing, then we have something blank, then we have some price. Okay, and then finally is this. Okay, I think we have some blank data, so let's give some dummy junk name so that we can accommodate that. Okay, so the first column is handled, second column is handled, third column is handled, right, till here. Okay, and then we'll finally handle this. So let's say I'll try to give, let's say, product, let's say unknown for the time being. Okay, then we have product price. Okay, and finally I have, let's say, product description, I say. Okay, so let's say these are things. Let's see, execute this, whether this is like taking it or not. Okay, and let's do data frame dot show. Okay, so this is unknown. It looks good. Okay, as of now, see, if you see, it is all two. Ideally it should be really, it is looking me a foreign key of some file or some table, but as of now I do not have a schema, so I'm not able to make a exact guess. But let's see, if it is giving us issue, we'll try to tackle it. Okay, let's make a move. What they have asked us to is filter the data which has price less than 10,000, okay, and where product name contains vector series. Okay, we'll try to do that. While saving the data, it should be in Avro format, okay, and compress the data using deflate, okay, and write the data into the output. It looks like a straightforward scenario. Let's do that. Okay, so first of all, let's say filter prod equals to, so what is my data frame name? So my data frame name is product data frame. Okay, so I'll try to use that data frame name, and I'll try to apply a filter clause. Okay, the column which I'm trying to apply the filter clause is price, right? So we'll try to apply the column, so that is nothing but product price. Okay, and that should be what they say, is it less than or greater than? So less than. Okay, so that is less than 1,000. That is what they have asked us. Okay, and again, like they have asked us is like the product name, right? So where we needed a filter, okay, where like product name contains something. So let's do that as well in the same thing. Let's not use multiple. So I'll try to use call, okay, and I'll try to use product name. Okay, if this will not work, okay, okay, I'll show you. Hopefully we will get some error. We'll have to go for some like operator. So what they have asked us is
So
vector
we can use
series.
contains.
Yeah, we can use contains, and also we can use like where clause as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so let's see. First is it, if this won't work, that's what I am assuming, but let's see. Let's execute this piece, and it is telling, see, it's highlighting over here, and it is telling invalid syntax. Okay, so that's what like we assume. So in place of this, what we'll try to do is I'll try to write where clause. Okay, I can write a where clause where my product name, okay, in spite of giving this, I'll try to give my pattern option. So that is nothing but my, sorry, it is a like operator. Let's copy this, clear of the screen. So even like this is not able to tackle. Oh, sorry, there is a typo error. It seems like Control C, and let's do Control V. Okay, so even that's where clause. I think this entire thing should go in a string, and then it should be able to work. Let's do that. Yeah, I was making a small mistake, hopefully. Okay, so it is telling that, so meta store is not unable to instantiate metadata hive store client. Okay, so tick, let's change it. Okay, so where call of my, if this does not work, then we'll try to go with the approach which Swarup suggested to us. We'll go with like contains. Okay, so we'll try to go with contains option. Okay, so I'll try to give a last try. Product name and like, so this, okay, and this is a string, so that is there, and finally is this. Let's do copy of this and clear of the screen, and finally, yeah, so filter product dot show, we should have the filtered it, and we'll try to do like truncate equals to false. Okay, we should have the data. So this is like they were asking us the data. Okay, so we have got filtered the data less than 1,000, and we have got the vector series. Okay, and finally we need to write the data in Avro format, and we need to write in a compression of deflate. Okay, that's what we need to do, and it's like very simple and straightforward. Let's do quickly. So filter data frame. Okay, so I'll try to use dot write method. Okay, and what they are asking us, they are asking us to use format. Now if you remember earlier we were using CSV, now we are using Avro. Okay, then okay, so if by any chance, like again, if you are writing multiple times, we are missing that, that is nothing but the mode as override. Let's use that as well. Okay, cool. So this is done, and finally we need like an option that is in the form of key and value. So I have a compression, that is what the compression was, deflate, right? So deflate, and this should be, yeah, so the compression is deflate, what they have asked. And finally we'll try to save the location. What they have asked is let's copy that location, control C, and hdfs colon, okay, / localhost your 9000 port, and we just need to paste the thing. And finally we need to, so let's say this is scenario _6. okay, let's write this. Let's clear off the screen. Okay, so we are getting some error, so connection refused, it is telling. I think we will have to import some package for Avro. So connection refused, it is telling.
Port number is port number 9000.
What did I, okay, there is a 9000. okay, thank you.
Update double slash there before this.
Yeah, user. Port के बाद.
Where user this,
Yeah, double slash. Before that, it's a double slash, right?
right? So yeah, that was a copy paste issue, right? Thanks. Okay, let's quickly take this and let's verify hdfs dfs-ls. And if you see over here, okay, now if you'll try to, let's say I have a part files. Okay, now remember, like we had one question from Irfan. Okay, now if we try to do -text, and we'll try to see, let's say head -5. okay, we should get some binary. So see, if you see, we are not able to get like it, we are getting the data like in this like JSON format, like in the form of key value pairs. Okay, but if you want to see specifically, so we have like spark.read.avro, because I have not shown you the different file formats which we'll be seeing next Saturday, all the integrations. So spark.read.format, okay, so that is nothing but Avro. Okay, and finally we'll try to load the data, and this is thing, and finally we'll try to show this. Okay, we are able to view it. Okay, so this is also working good. Any questions still here? Hopefully, like it was like a straightforward scenario, there was nothing inside this. No questions, right? Okay, so let's see the 7th scenario now. Okay, now in the 7th scenario, what they are saying us is you are provided with files S7A and S7B. I think again the join will come. Let's see. And it is at certain location. So it is at datasets location. So control C, and let's go to dataset. Okay, so let's go to datasets. Okay, and what is the file they are asking? S7 lls7a.txt. we have S7b. Okay, we have both the files, so we will try to read the data from this location. Okay, so that is this over here. Let's start implementing this, and what we can make use of this. Okay, so first of all, let me see the data, what the data is there, and based on that we'll try to go with some logic. Cat S7a. Oh, this is like S7b. ठीक है, A and B, ठीक है. Okay, let's go. Let's see how we can solve this. Okay, it looks a little scenario 7. Okay, so let's try to solve this scenario 7. Okay, first let's try to read the files. Okay, so there are like two files, so I'll try to create two data frames. Okay, so the first one is df1. Now, okay, so let me go with my own way.
Actually, I went for the 8 and 9. I thought that it might be we have to use RDD or because of that couple. I
कोई
said
नहीं
that
कोई
we
नहीं
need
कोई
to
नहीं
let.
कोई नहीं कोई नहीं कोई नहीं कोई नहीं. I am, it's like I'm just getting a confusion. Like if I'm able to recall, like you use like let's split method. I think Varad used, if you remember, like text file wala. So something like that is there. Let's see how we can resolve. Okay, so first let me read that. So spark dot read. Okay, so what was the data? Let's go back. Okay, ठीक है. So let's start writing the code. So let's say spark dot read dot option. Okay, and ठीक है. One thing which you will come to know over here is, if you remember, like first see the data. Okay, now if you read the data, it will come to a single column. Okay, so again, like there are different approaches which are coming to my mind. So if you remember, like I don't know how many people are able to. If I read this, it will come to a single column. What I can do is, based on like delimiter, then I can separate it and I can this get item 0 and get item 1. Once I get these two columns, what I can apply a replace and I remove this, and then I make this as a list. Okay, that's how like I'm able to think. I can use that, or else the one more method which I am able to make use of is, okay, so we'll try to make use of like option as quote. Okay, so let's say the thing is like this is what I'm trying to read it. Okay, so you'll come to know. So that is what I'm able to understand. Okay, so this is one thing, and this is closed. ठीक है, looks good to me. Let's see. And finally, so this is closed, right? Yeah, so let's go for CSV, and we will try to go, let's say file colon / home save, and we need to go now into datasets folder, right? And we need to have s7a.txt. okay, so this is it. Looks like, let's see how my data frame looks like, then we can think of doing something on top of it. ठीक है, df1 dot show how it is looking like. Okay, so that is removed. ठीक है, I'm getting two columns. Okay, let's give the column names and then maybe like regular expressions or whatever, like ठीक है, looks good. So let's give some column name. Okay, so I'll try to give 2df some column names I'll try to give. So let's say I'm trying to give name, and let's say as this is like containing elements of same type, I'm trying to give some name like similar to your array. Okay, let's copy this, execute this. No change in the output, but just like the column names are getting changed, nothing else. Okay, ठीक है. Now what I'll try to do is, from this array, okay, so I'll try to replace that. First I'll split also with the regular expression, and ठीक है, looks good. Maybe that should work. If an error comes, we'll try to troubleshoot. Okay, so let's say I'm trying, and so I need to do this for the second data frame also, right? Control C, Control V. So let's do spark.read.action. So let's give this s7b.txt. Control C and clear off the
Not
screen.
let me type properly. S7B, it's SDA.
SDA, right. ठीक है, let's
S7B, S7B.
7b I need to say, then I need to say the 7 A also. ठीक है? So both the df1 df2 are ready. Cool. Now our df1 df2 are ready. So and I'll try to do, ठीक है, let's do regular expression which is coming to my mind. Let's do that, and if something comes we'll try to pop. So let's say df underscore 1 equals to, so this is my first data frame name, that is df1 dot okay, I'll try to use with column the new, or maybe like the column name which I'm trying to use array. So let me see how the data was looking in df1 dot show. ठीक है, looking okay. So I'll take the array column. Yeah, I have taken that. Then I'll try to apply a split. For that I'll have to import from PySpark dot SQL dot functions import split. Okay, so we will split the data. ठीक है, so split हम करेंगे based on, ठीक है, so first I'll try to apply a regular expression which will replace that end में जो है फिर मेरा comma बचेगा, so it would be a comma. ठीक है, so see I'm trying to just, first I'll show you what I'm trying to think and write. Let me write that first. Okay, so I'm trying to use my regex replace. Okay, so in that what I'm trying to use, okay, so the data frame is nothing but df1, that is the data frame 1 dot array. This is the column name. Okay, if you see, this is the array a double r which is coming from df1, and it is having this, sorry, it is having this. I am trying to remove that first. That is my priority for now. So what I'll try to do is simply in double quotes. Okay, so it needs to be enclosed in a list. ठीक है, and that is like closing brackets. ठीक है, and that should be nullified. Okay, let's see that for whether this is working or not, and then finally I'll try to split it. Rec replace is not imported. Let's copy this and paste this. So rec replaced from PySpark digital functions is not there. मैंने गलत टाइप किया क्या कुछ? So from PySpark dot SQL dot functions import regex replace.
Sir, I think it's regex p. Regex p. Regex p underscore replace. Regular expression, so exp.
No. So I'll just stop for a minute because I just regular expression replace and here also. So I was going with regex typo. So sorry. So let's import this, and we will need like split also. Okay, so let's import that also. ठीक है. Now we will try to execute this. So that is going out. Let's see. So let's say df underscore 1 dot show. Okay, now what I will try to do, I will try to split this data. Now it is working fine. Okay, so on this I will try to apply a wrapper of split. Okay, then finally what I'll try to do, I'll take this my first argument, and the splitting is nothing but this, and finally at the end I'll have to close this. ठीक है, Control C, and ठीक है, so it has become a list. So now my issue is resolved. Okay, and then the same thing I'll have to do for my data frame 2. So this was the only challenge. Okay, so df2, and I'll just have to replace this second data frame. Control C, Control V. Oops, there is some issue. Regular expression replace. Here I need to say it's like df2. Let's copy this, clear up this again, and let's see, let's verify df underscore 2 dot show, and let's say df1. Let's re-verify the data. Okay, cool. So we have transformed the data. ठीक है, we have reached till here, and finally what we need to do, so we just need to separate, nothing else, right? So get item, we know like we can take the get item like how we have done last time. So we'll try to do that. Okay, looks good to me now from you. Okay, so should I union the data? because A and B is available over there. Let's go df1, df2. Okay, I'll have to join, no, like A and B union. So I'll have to union the data, sorry. Okay, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to combine the data horizontally. So I'm trying to say union data frame. Okay, so the first data frame name is df underscore 1. Okay, then we'll try to do union data, sorry, union, it's not union data frame, and the second is df underscore 2. Okay, so that is what we are trying to use. So what I'm trying to do, simply I'm trying to combine that, and let's give some column name using 2df. So let's say this is call1, and let's say this is call2. Let's copy this, let's come over here, union data frame dot show. Okay, so we are getting the data, so AB, so we are there. So we just need to split this now. So now it's just like a small work I need to do. Okay, let's do that. So final, let's say result data frame, I would say. So the union data, sorry, the union data frame I'm trying to use. Okay, and how the data looks, sorry, how we want. So we want that individual column, and then we want from the column to first element and second element. Okay, got it. So what I'll try to do, I'll try to do a select. Okay, so from the union data frame, okay, I need my first column, right? So I'll take that my call1, that was nothing but call1, and let's say I'll alias that as, again it's not needed because it's already column1. Okay, that I have done the first thing. Then I'll try to take the second one. So union data frame. Okay, from this I'll be taking my second column, right? So that is call2. From that call2, I just need to pick my first element and second element, right? So I'll just simply use get item of my 0th element, and that will alias me alias. Okay, that will alias me, and the column name is column2 underscore 1, right? Yeah, so it's like call2 underscore 1. Okay, so I'll quickly copy this and paste this. Okay, so from call2, so I'll just get my get item 1, and this will be call1 call2, right? And finally this is getting closed. Okay, so if all the syntaxes are good, hopefully let's clear off the screen and execute this. So union div, so there is some typo. Okay, so union d, here I need to give some, let's give some, so that should be union df, right? Let's copy this, let's execute this. Okay, and finally we'll try to do result data frame dot show. Let's compare this. AB looks good to me. Okay, so just a small tweak was there. Okay, so I just used one code. Okay, you can use delimiter also to like split it, or again like you, but I used code because it's into special characters, and I use regular expression replace over here. Okay, so you could have made use of replace also, but as it was a list, so I applied on a regular expression. So that's what, like, I made a small thing. Again, like, it's just like a proposed idea we needed to have, and that's what we got it. Okay, any questions in this seventh scenario? Any questions? Are we connected?
Yes, no.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's move on. If the no questions, so scenario 7 is done. Let's go with scenario 8. Okay, so challenging scenario. Okay, so we are getting one list. I think like we have already done this, but similar to like finding the count length and groupings, same thing which I am able to recall. Okay, let's do this scenario 8. Okay, what it is asking us, they have given the data, so we need to find the length of the word. Okay, and if you remember the earlier scenario which we did, so we joined the data. Okay, but here, so we just need to like concatenate same thing like earlier only, but here we only have one data frame, not one data set or one list to be precise. Okay, let's do that. So it should be like same like earlier scenario. Okay, let's do scenario 8. Okay, let's do scenario 8. Okay, so we'll create a data, okay, which they have given to us. Okay, quickly we'll try to create a schema. So let's say S1 or let's say SH. Again, this is already available, and we'll try to define a type that is nothing but string type. Okay, and I'll try to write my data frame syntax as well. So that is nothing but spark dot create data frame. Okay, and I need to pass my data and I need to pass my schema. So I don't need to import this because we have already imported all these things a little while earlier. So we should have all the things. Okay, so df.show we are able to have. Okay, so simply we'll try to concatenate. If you remember in the earlier scenario, when I was trying to do concat, I used the literal method. But if you remember, when I was trying to explain the functions or the different transformations, in that I was explaining the functions, we can do the same work with concat underscore ws also. So let's use that. So just like, because the code writing becomes easy. Otherwise, like if there are 10 columns which are getting concatenated 9 times, we'll have to write that lit. But in concat underscore ws, it will save our time. Okay. Okay, let's. Okay. So scenario number 8. Okay, so we have already discussed like what it is expecting. So we just created these two things, and I think my light went off, so I'll have to import this again now. So from PySpark .sql .types, okay, I'll have to import string type. Okay, let's do that. Control C. Be on mute. Someone is not on mute. So let's hit this and let's do data frame.show. Okay, so we are able to get the data as a value in a data frame. That's okay. So like last time is like same scenario like last time, so it will be just like quicker. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll try to remove the length. Okay, so length data frame I would say. So the data frame I'll try to use is with column. Okay, the column name which we will generate is what they asked. Did they ask certain things? Word underscore length. Okay, so let's say word underscore length. Okay, so that's the name they have asked us. And what we'll try to do is we'll try to use length and we'll try to find out the value length, right? And we'll have to import this package functions from pyspark.sql.functions. Okay, we'll have to import length. Let's copy this. Okay, so lef, there's a typo error. Should be like len data frame. Okay, lendf.show. We should have some count. That's okay. So we are able to get that. Okay, same like thing. The only thing is we are just trying to. Earlier we did in 2 data frames. Now we are only doing in 1 data frame. And earlier we used concat with literal method. Now we are using concat underscore ws. Like it's straightforward. Okay. So I'll have to do aggregate data frame. So let's use my len data frame. Okay, and I'll try to do a group by. The column would be nothing but my word underscore length. Okay, then word underscore length. So 5 and that should come to row. So rows to column. Okay, do we remember like when I was trying to explain the transformations and the respective functions, I showed couple of things. If you remember, like if we want to do column to row conversion, there was one method. What is that method? Do we remember?
Yes, it's collect and
No. That is your answer which of this scenario. I have column. Yeah, we have pivot and one more we have, like if we want to explode the data we used explode, remember, something like to that. Okay, that is pivot is correct. Okay, even explode is correct, and the solution which we are looking for here is collect list. Okay, that what Sagar suggested us. Okay, what we would be doing is based on like the count, okay, or this value, we will trying to collect the data. So that's what, like, if you see, if it is 6, I do not have any character or any words which repeated, but if I go for 5, I have spark, I have scala. So that's what we'll have to do. We'll have to collect the data set. If you don't want to have the duplicates, you can go for collect underscore set, but as of now they have not asked anything, so we will go for collect underscore list. Okay. Okay, so okay, so what we will do is that is done. So now I'll try to apply a aggregation. Okay, as I need to do that, and I'll try to say, let's say collect underscore list. Okay, so the collect underscore list, based on the value I need to collect it, right? When we are trying to do collect, and just I'll try to alias this. Did they give us any name? Group underscore word. Let's use that. Group underscore word. Okay, that's what they have asked us to do. Okay, let's check this. Collect list is not defined. That's okay. So let's say collect underscore list, and let's paste this again, and let's do aggregate data frame dot show. Okay, we are able to get this. Okay, so we are almost closed, and what they want is they just want to remove the list. Okay, so we want an extra column, and we don't want that as a list, otherwise we have got the solution. Okay, let's do that and finish it off. So here we needed to import a collect list that was missing. Okay, now finally what we'll do is I'll try to do, let's say, result data frame equals to, so aggregate data frame, I need to have one more column, so I'll use with column, and that column name was word, right? Yeah, it was word. Okay, and finally what I'll have to do is just need to do like some, so here I'll have to import concat underscore ws. So let me import this. Okay, so we'll not have any error when we are writing the code. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll use concat underscore ws, which we have taken. Okay, so the separator is nothing but hyphen, sorry, comma. Okay, the delimiter is like comma, and the column name which we are trying to use is on the call, so that is nothing but my group underscore word. Okay, let's do that, and I think I'll have to import this as well because the session was expired. So let's use as a, okay, and let's clear off the screen, and let's copy this and execute this. Okay, and finally we'll have the result data frame dot show. Cool, so we are getting the data. Okay, looks good to me. Okay, so here like we got to know like how to use collect list, which we have already seen in small examples, like how I showed. That's why I showed all the possible transformations and the respective string functions and the data structure functions. So you'll have to make use all of this once the scenario comes. Okay, any questions in this? And did they ask us to save somewhere? No, it's just like a scenario. Yeah, no questions, right? Okay, okay, so let's go to the 9th scenario. Okay, so what they are telling us is you have been given below schema. Okay, that is name, gender, cost. Okay, and data is this. Okay, what we need to do is perform sum of name, which is a string. Okay, and gender as total cost. Compress the output as snappy compression. Okay, and save as ORC. Okay, okay, so there are 2-3 things which they are asking. So first I'll try to take this, which is required as data they have given to us, right, in the scenario 9. So let's use this scenario 9 over here. Okay, so we'll try to create a data. So let's go over here. So this is the data which they have given to us, right? So I'll try to embed that in a list. So my data should be getting created, and oh, we missed this as well. So let's cut this and paste this over here, right? Okay, and let's bring this a little up. Okay, and this was the schema for us what they provided. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so this was the data. Now what we'll try to do is, and I can use like when it means like while creating the things, or you can create the thing like directly. I could have given this in dataframe.spark.read.dataframe and data, and with the schema it's your call, like how you go with your code writing skills. Okay, I have shown all the possible ways, so it's like how you use them. Okay, so let's say these are my column names which I am trying to use. Okay, let's see, control C, clear of this and data frame. Okay, let's write it over here so that if any errors we can quickly do that. Spark dot create data frame. Okay, and here I need to provide my data, and finally I need to provide my columns. Let's do control C, control V, df dot show. Okay, looks good, the data is ready. Cool. Now what we need to do is, what they have asked us is sum of name. Okay, we'll do that. Gender, sum of name and gender, sum of name and gender. Okay, sorry, it's like I misinterpreted the requirement. So what we needed, sum of name and gender as total cost. Okay, okay, let's do that. Okay, so this is done. Now we'll try to do the grouping. So we have already imported like column and sum. So if it gives some error, we'll try to do something. Okay, so let's do group data frame. The data frame which we are using is like df. Okay, let's, so that you can view a little higher in front of your eyes. Okay, in this data frame what I am trying to do is, I'll try to apply a group by. Okay, and what they asked us is name and gender, right? Sorry, so the syntax is incorrect. So column, I want name, right? Then the second column what they asked is nothing but my gender. Okay, that is done. Then we are trying to do a aggregation. What they have asked us is sum, right? So I'll have so I'll have to do a sum. Okay, okay, so we are trying to do sum on column, so that is nothing but, I think it's like, which I am able to recall this. So sorry, detail. So we'll have to do on sum on this. Okay, name, gender and column. So this is like a cost. Yeah, I think like this should be the, so let's do cost. Okay, and let's try to alias this so that we should not get any thing. So let's do aliasing, and if you want to give any name, but as long it's like cost only, so let's copy this and let's see what are the, so column is not iterable. Okay, so this column which I am trying to write, which is nothing but sum, did we impeded that? Okay, so I just missed this. Okay, I did not imported this and it was giving me that this column is not iterable, so that was the error. Okay, so what I did is I imported the sum and I am able to get the output. Okay, so we are getting this. Did they give us nothing else, right? So we are able to get the total cost. Okay, we should have alias this as total cost. So let me go back and let me change this. Okay, that should have been like total, there's a typo error, so it should have been total cost. Okay, let's change this over here as well. Okay, so done. And finally what I need to do is I need to write in a snappy compression in the ORC format. Okay, let's do that quickly. So let's say a group data frame. dot write. Okay, group data frame dot write. Then what you have to do is, what mode you'll have to use, it's your call. It's like based on the requirement. It's like append, override. Let's go for override as usual. Then for format, like we'll have to use ORC. Okay, because they have asked us to write that into that format. Okay, so we'll be writing in that format, and they have asked us to snappy compression, right? So this is key, this is value. So they are asking us to do a snappy compression. Okay, let's do that snappy compression. And finally we need to save the data to a particular location. So dot save hdfs colon localhost 9000, paste this, and let's say scenario 9. Okay, let's execute this. So it is telling invalid syntax, localhost colon 9000. See what it is trying to impose. So data frame dot write, the format is ORC, right? And the compression is snappy. I'm trying to hdfs colon localhost 9000 user set hfs. Yeah, got it. Yeah. So invalid syntax. So let's execute this. Okay, so it is getting executed, and we should be able to get the data in Avro format. Okay, again, if we want to read the data in Avro format, you will have to do like spark.read.avro, and you should be able to get that data. Okay, so let's see that. Okay, so like snappy ORC. So again, like you can do like go over there. So spark.read.format ORC. Let's quickly do that. Spark.read.format, and the is Avro. Okay, and there is load. Let's give it, and finally let's try to do a show. So what it is asking, data source. Okay, so the data was incorrect. It should have been ORC. Okay, so we are able to get the data. Okay, so that was like just a small stuff. And if you want to get all the data, so what you can do is maybe like just give like remove this everything and just give a regular expression as like star, and you should be able to get the data. Okay, so that was the 9 scenario. Okay, and finally we will go to the 10 scenario. Let's go to the 10 scenario. Okay, so what they are telling is, you are provided with transaction file at this location. Okay, use PySpark partition the data on year, month, a day, and create a dynamic partition table in Hive. Okay, so we need to do a dynamic partition in Hive. So we'll have to get some properties, and finally we'll have to load the partition data to Hive table in Parquet format. Okay, looks good. So before that, what I'll do is I'll open a new terminal, login as sf, welcome @123, clear of the screen. So let's go no hub hive hyphen service. Okay, meta store and ampersand. Okay, so let's should start that, and let's open a new terminal. Let's start Hive, and meanwhile when the Hive is starting, let's go to the data sets, and let's check the file is available, something like tx, and what they are saying is txn file, txn is file. Okay, so there is a typo. So we have this transaction files. Okay, What they are asking is use PySpark, okay, partition the data on year, month, day. So we need to partition the data, create a dynamic partition table in Hive, okay, and load the partition data. So let's try to do this. Ideally, this is like I always keep this. I think we'll keep this for integrations, which I am assuming, because we'll try to do the integrations through ID. But again, like I'll show quickly over here because it's like very simple, nothing else. So let's say show databases, okay. So let's say I'm trying to use SavDB, and let's say show tables. Okay, there are some tables over here. We'll try to use those. Now, if you remember, like last Saturday, Sunday, I told you, okay, if you remember in PyCharm when we were trying to read with Spark 1.x method, like Spark conf and Spark context, at that moment of time, I clearly told you if you wanted to convert to a data frame, what package or what class you needed to import. Do we remember what class we imported? No, RDT to data frame. SQL context, right? So from SQL, from SQL context, we assigned the SC class to it. That was RDT to data frame, and the answer which Varad gave us to us, if we want to read the data from Hive, we need to import the Hive context class and assign that to HC. Okay, so we need to remember these things. Okay, so simply what I'll try to show you is from PySpark. Okay, so which class we need to import? From PySpark package, I need to import Hive context. Okay, and what I'll do is to my SQL context, okay, I'll try to assign this Hive context and SC, because HC and this is already available. So let's go over here and let's keep this. Okay, now what I can do is simply, let's say data frame equals to, okay, SQL any variable name you can give. Okay, so Spark context, sorry, SQL context, and you can write now SQL queries on your Hive tables. Okay, so let's see. So we'll take one table called dbt. First table will take, select all the records from sav underscore db dot dbt table. Okay, it has instantiated, and you will see df.show. So I am able to read the Hive data with 1.x method. Okay, in this we have Spark context, we also have Spark. Okay, directly you can use, so let me go a little up. So this is like Spark 1.x. Similarly, I showed like data frame RDT, same way I'm showing here also. Okay, but majorly now you will be using 2.x only. Okay, so simply what I'll write, data frame. So let's say I'll say this, ठीक है, मैंने वहाँ पे लिखा था. So I'll try to use this. So let's say this is df1, okay, and we will say this is df2, okay, equals to. So straight away what you can write is you have a Spark, okay, as a variable or a session. If you remember, like I told you, Spark has SQL context, Hive context, everything inside this. Don't need to import or don't need to do. Straight away I can write my SQL queries. Okay, so whatever earlier we have written over here, straight away I can do copy, Control C, and I can do Control V. Let's copy this. This is, and clear of the screen, and let's do df2.show. Okay, we will be able to read the same data. Now it's your call how you are writing the code. If you are trying to go with 1.x, you need to import that class and you have to create an object. So Hive context class will be coming from PySpark package, and similarly you will have to if you are planning to convert RDT to data frame, you will have to import that as well, SQL context class from PySpark package. Okay, so I have clearly shown RDT to data frame in 1.x and 2.x, and today we have seen the Hive context in 1.x and 2.x. Okay, so that is done. Now we'll try to understand this scenario. Okay, so 10:47, so there will be just like a 10 minutes delay hopefully. So okay, let's start building the code. Okay, so let's create a data frame that is nothing but spark dot read dot format. Okay, so the format is like, so txn, so we'll give csv and we have header. Okay, so let's go with csv and we have like option as key value. Okay, so let's give header as true. Okay, and again like we'll use option, like infer the schema. Okay, and finally what we will try to do is we'll try to load the data from a particular location, home, save, lfs. Okay, and under datasets folder we have txns, right? Let's copy this and I think we are here. Okay, quickly let's verify few 5 records. txn data frame dot show. Okay, we are able to see 5 records. Okay, so the data frame got created successfully. Okay, so we need to partition the data. So partition the data. So where is the date column? Okay, so the date column is here, YMMD. Okay, so we'll partition the data, create a dynamic partition table in Hive. Okay, and load the data. Okay, no issues. Okay, so let's start doing this. Okay, so first of all I'll try to create a partition. So let's say partition data frame. Okay, so my data frame name is nothing but transaction data frame. I'll try to use select and which, so maybe like I think I have shown you date underscore format, right? The only like Unix underscore timestamp and from underscore unique timestamp I have not shown. Let me use that. Okay, let me use that. So I'll use select expression. Expression why I'm trying to write, because I will be writing the aliasing and the conversion in the string itself. Okay, that's why, otherwise you will have to use with column. It's your call how you go with it. Okay, okay. So the column names are, what are the column names? So transaction name. Okay, so let's say tx, what is the column name? txn transaction number. Okay, then the second column name is so I'll take this only. So okay, so let's take this and paste it over here. Okay, so I'm done with, so I need to have my transaction date. Okay, after that I need to have my customer number. Okay, so let's go over here and let's close this, and finally we'll have, I could have replaced also, means like I would have used the notepad plus capabilities also. Okay, so it could have saved my time, I could have done that a little early, but okay, no issues. So there are only few columns, not much. Okay, and finally this 2 columns which are pending, and let's close this as well. Okay, so let me just see whether this data frame is appropriate or not. Okay, looks good. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to partition the data. Okay, so I'm selecting my transaction number, transaction date. Okay, customer number, amount number, category, whatever the column names it had. Okay, now I'll start applying some logic on top of it. Okay, so we'll try to make use of Unix timestamp and from underscore, or else like straight away you can use date format also. It's your call how you write the code, but I've already shown date format, so I think I'm not able to recall that I showed Unix timestamp, so that's why I'm trying to write that syntax. So we'll try to use Unix underscore timestamp. Okay, and I'll have to import from pyspark.sql.functions. That's okay. Okay, so the column name which I am having is transaction date. Okay, so let's give transaction date. Okay, the format which we are trying to get the data is I think it's dd, no, mm dd double y. Okay, that is the format which we are getting, mm hyphen dd hyphen double y. Okay, so this is the format which I am trying to get. Okay, now what I am trying to do, so this is closed, I should have opened this as well, okay, because this is getting closed over here. Okay, now this is to read the data in which the date format it is coming. People coming from ETL background, so how we do toChar, read the data in the desired format, how it is coming from upstream, and on top of that we write toDate and we write the format which we need to write. Okay, so I have written toChar. Now I am trying to do toDate, so that's why I am trying to do from underscore Unix time. Okay, so I'll go over here. Okay, when it is closing, so from this I'll try to get my, that is double y, and I'll try to alias this as year. I don't need to write dot alias. If I'm trying to use with column, I could have written that. So that's where like expression gives us the capability. Okay, so let's check whether this code, small code, is working fine. Okay, so there is a syntax issue. I am missing double quotes, and again like I need to import packages also. Let's do that also from pyspark.sql.functions. Okay, Unix underscore timestamp and from underscore Unix time. Control C. Okay, and let's go over here. Control C. So it is giving me invalid syntax. Okay, no issues. So what it is telling me, so mmddy, let's try to, so it is pointing me over here. Okay, let's go back to the syntax. What I'm trying to write is from underscore Unix timestamp. So this is getting closed over here. Okay.
It said it is case sensitive in double analyzing capital DD in small. Is that the case?
I don't assume so. I am not able, no, I don't think so. The only thing which I am missing is like, I think I'm missing this thing, and this is getting closed. Where this is getting closed, this is not able to recognize. Okay, so this is getting closed somewhere. Okay, this is getting closed over here. This is getting closed over here as here. Okay, from underscore, I think like I should remove this. Now it should be fine, right? Yeah. Control C. Let's clear off the screen and let's hit this. Okay, again it's the invalid syntax. Okay, let's, and it is pointing me there only. But if I see the data, so the data is dd hyphen mm, no, mm hyphen dd double y. That is good. So let me check. Okay, so I'm trying to use from underscore Unix timestamp. Unix timestamp, this is the date column, that is transaction date. The format is mm hyphen dd hyphen yy. So this is in quotes. That's close. Then I'm trying to do double y. Then this is as here. I don't able to find some issue. From underscore format looks good, yeah. So let me pause it because it is just taking some time. Actually, when I was what I was trying to do is I was trying to make it is into entire string in a double quotes. So it was expecting, like when I was trying to give double quotes over here, it was assuming this is the end of the string. So that was the issue. Okay, so we have eradicated that by placing a single quote. Okay, let's give partition data frame dot show. We should get here. Okay, so now if you see, we are getting here. Now it will be just a copy paste, month, day, and yeah, only two things, right? So let's do Control C. So this will be my month, and finally I will have day. Okay, so from Unix timestamp dd. So here I just need to say mm. Here I just need to say dd. I just need to say alias as month, and I just need to say alias as day. Okay, so let's copy, clear off the screen, and show. Okay, let's, what we'll do is partition data frame dot select. We'll just see like only like those columns only. Okay, what we created. So that is nothing but here and that is nothing but month, and finally we have day, and we'll just see only 5 records. By ideally it gives default 20, so we are able to partition the data. Okay, so we are able to do this appropriately. Okay, so they partition data and create a dynamic partition. Okay, now what I'll try to do is, okay, see, there are some, again, like there are a couple of approaches. What I can do is I can create a table in the Hive directly. I can create a table in the Hive directly, and I can use that table, or else from PySpark also I can create a table in my Hive, because we are able to execute all the SQL like queries in your HQL. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll try to do from everything from PySpark only, because you are already doing Hive video, so you should be able to do that. Okay, so spark.sql, I'll try to do a create table statement. Okay, so I'm trying to create an external table. Okay, then the table name, the database name is nothing but safe_db. The table name I'll try to give is, let's say, B7, and let's say transaction, and scenario 10, let's say transaction data. Okay, so for B7, like we are having transaction data, so this is the table name which I am trying to create. Finally, I need to give all the column names. Okay, so what I'll do is quickly I'll just copy this, save some time. Okay, let's paste this over here, and we'll have to define the types. Okay, and simply now what we will do is Control H. So let's try to replace this with junk, sorry, everything, and I think we'll have to use the special character also. So let's go. Okay, so I'll have to use that special characters. Okay, no issues. So let's remove this. I think let's highlight that again, why it didn't. Control H, this, let's say in selection, replace all. Standard. Okay, let's not waste time. So what I'm trying to give is I'm trying to define the data types of the individual columns. Okay, so let's see the data. Okay, so transaction data, so let's take it as like string, and let's move ahead quickly, let's not waste time. So let's say it will be quick copy paste for me. So Control C, then Control V. So transaction date, let's see, again, like it's your call, like how you are creating the thing. So it's again, look, you can give date, data types, everything, but let me test this. So I'll just go with like same plain simple formats, and then we'll try to change it if time permits, or else like we'll try to do some small changes here and there. So I'm just trying to do copy paste to save some time, because string can hold integer and date as well. Okay, so this is like the create table statement which we generally write in your Hive. Okay, then what I'll try to do is they have asked us to partition the data, so I'm trying to say partitioned by. Okay, what are the columns they are trying to say? Year, right, month, then day. Okay, so I'm just trying to take copy paste of data type. Okay, so I have done the partitioning. After that, what we do is we try to write row format delimited. Okay, fields terminated by comma. Okay, that's what we write, right? Fields terminated by, and if you want to load the data, you can use your load command also, or else you can define the location also. Okay, so I'll try to define the location LOC, and let me see first of all whether that is available or not. So HDFS, I can give this location also, but I'm trying to see whether it's available in my HDFS path which I am able to recall. Okay, so HDFS DFN have been ls. So let's go user safe. We have a Hadoop HFS directory, in that we have input, and so what did I give this file name? Okay, so I think like txns, right? Okay, we do have something called txns, and it's a directory, but under this directory I don't find anything. So there is one file which I remember, that is s_10, which I created for my batch. Even this is not that. Okay, so what we'll have to do is, okay, so let me clear off this. What we'll have to do is, okay, so we'll have to load this data. Okay, so what we'll do is, first of all, if this directory is not there, so we'll have to create this directory. Okay, because let's say b7, okay, and b7, let's say b7 txns. Okay, so I will do is hdfs dfs -mkdir. Okay, let's consider this directory is not available for bk, so b7 underscore txns. Okay, so I created this. Now if you try to list, we will be having that. Now what I will do is, I will take this and I'll try to define away hdfs. Okay, so the path is nothing but hdfs, your local host, and we have 9000, and finally we need to place this, and again, like, it should not matter, but let's remove this. So it is pointing to this. Okay, this is what we are trying to create. Hopefully everything is correct. Hopefully it should not throw an error. Let's see. So we are in pyspark.sql, and let's execute this. Okay, so it is creating a data frame. Okay, that is good, that is okay. So that's not okay. So let's go to the Hive, select all the records from b7. Okay, so it looks like my table is created from Spark. Either you can do like, you can keep this. Ideally what we do is, in project, is whatever the table creations are there, we always do in one go. Okay, and whenever we are deploying the code, first we give all this one-time creation, whether it's a directory creation, scripts migration, table creation, everything we give in one file, and all the environment gets created, and then finally we instruct the admin team, whoever handling the deployment, so deploy the CS scheduler. Okay, so okay, so now they have asked us to partition the data. Okay, now if you see, what we'll have to do is, I'll have to create a, because see, the table is available, but now we'll have to and the table is also partitioned. Okay, now I'll have to do, what I'll have to do is, I'll have to instruct some properties to load the data dynamically into that partition table. So there are some Hive properties, like hive.partition.execution. So there are some properties which we need to set. Partition equals to true, then the mode should be non-strict. Okay, and the dynamic partitions we need to set true, and if per node it is giving some restrictions, so we need to increase that limitation. So there are some 4 properties which we need to set. So I'm trying to use spark_conf, and I'm trying to use set key and value. Okay, so control C, 2 3 sorry 3 4. Okay, then let's use that property. If it comes error, we'll try to Google it, but hopefully, like, dynamic dot execution. So first we'll try to write the partition. Okay, let me check this first, otherwise we'll have to do everything over and over. So let's check this first. Okay, looks good. So then we have like hive.execute. Okay, so under my why write dynamica? So why it did not give me an error? So it should have been dynamic, right? Control C, Control V. Let's copy this and re-execute this, because actually we are setting this, so it got set, which is incorrect. Okay, so that was my typo error. So hive.execute.dynamic. Okay, so for a particular partition mode which we have used, I need to set it to non-strict. Okay, so by default it is strict mode. Okay, so I'll have to say it's non-strict. Do anyone had idea what does the strict mode does? I'm trying to write this. I don't know how many people are going through Hive videos, and did we capture this? Has dynamic partition come in your Hive videos? Yes, no, or did I disconnect it? I don't know. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, so dynamic dot partitions. Okay, so the like as of now I'm trying to give my 100, and let's say the final thing is 5 dot example and dynamic max partitions per node. See, people who have done this project, like Sagar has done this project, or maybe like if you would have been implementing dynamic partition examples, they might have faced these issues. So you need to face these issues until unless you won't get to know these things. So hive.execute max dynamic partitions per node. Okay, so by default per node it's like 100, so I'm 100 or 124, so I'm trying to increase so that it does not gives me an error. So these are the 4 properties which I'll have to set. Okay, so which I'm trying to set. Done. Okay, and finally what I'll try to do is I'll try to write my data, or I'll try to write my data to the table. Okay, cool, let's try to write that. So what is the data frame name now? Partition data frame, right? I'll use this. So partition data frame name I'm trying to use. Okay, and I'm trying to write, not where, I'm trying to write. So I'll have to use by partition by clause. Partition by, what are the partitions which I need to use? I need to use year, I need to use month, and I need to use day, right? So that's what I have done. So let me copy this. Year, month, day. Okay, so I'm trying to do partitions on this. If you want to do like mode, like override, you can use those things. Then I think the format they asked us Avro, right? Sorry, Parquet. So they asked us like format should be Parquet, right? So let's use Parquet file format. Okay, and finally I'll try to say save as table. This is a important point which you need to understand. Okay, so save underscore db. Okay, inside this db, so what was the table name which we created? Was this, right? Control C, Control V. Let's do Control C over here, and let's do Control V over here. Okay, it is giving me error, so it is telling me save db not found.
Spelling mistake is there. SAIF.
Yeah, right. So that's like a common error of mine. Okay, let's copy this and let's execute this again.
So here we don't want to give path, right? Where we have to
No, because we
save
are
it.
creating the table, and the table is pointing to your location, which we did like during the creation of the table, right?
Okay, yes, yes,
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
So I think like this is what, like, even like I told you, like maybe like future I'll be showing. So this is like you're writing the code and integrating with Hive. Okay, so it is taking a time because the partitions are getting created. Ideally my plan was to show these thing in PyCharm. Again, I'll show in PyCharm also. Okay, but now as the scenario came, so I didn't wanted to skip that, and so that's why I've written it. I mean, it's like we were able to do that. Okay, so it is writing the data, and hopefully once it is written, we should be able to view the results, and we should be able to see that partitions, and finally that is the conclusion of this, all the things which we have written. Okay, so let's go over here and let's try to limit some 50 records. Okay, so if you see, the data is there, and we can see like 2011 the partition data is there. Okay, and if you'll go to the HDFS location where we created the directory, what it was here, right? B7 transactions, under that we created one B7 transactions, right? What was that? B7 TXNS. Control C. and the table name is, what is the table name? S7, where is the create statement? Yeah, B7 underscore transaction data. So not here. Okay, this is this, and I think the directory should have been created with this name. That's what I'm assuming. HDFS DFS -ls. It is not able to give us. Okay, let's go over here. Describe formatted the table name. Okay, so it is in Parquet, and actually it is in Parquet, but acha, it is going into high warehouse location.
Yeah,
So
it's a default location.
yeah. So let's clear it. HDFS DFS -ls. Okay, and if you see, like, we have like year 2011, and if I just try to, I don't have like multiple data for the years like 2012 and 2013. If it would have been like 2011, 2012, or 2013, I would have got multiple part files. Okay, so if you see, we have all the months data. Okay, this is how, like, in project also we do the partitioning on year, month, and day, and that's what like we have achieved in this scenario. Okay, scenario looked simple, but it was a little tricky, but we just needed to know the things. Okay, so that's it. I'll just